Hi, everyone. Welcome to the You-est You podcast. This is Julie. I am your host. And let me just say, if you're watching this or listening, I have my hand in a heart. I have so much love for our guest today. You have no idea. Marie Forleo has been an incredible inspiration to me, and I'm so excited for you to get to know her. I want to tell you a little bit about Marie before you get to hear about her and all that she has created in this world to do good. Named by Oprah as a thought leader for the next generation and one of Inc.'s 500 fastest growing companies, Marie Forleo is on a mission to help you build a life you love and to use your gifts to change the world. She's the creator of the award-winning Marie TV with over 34 million views and more, I think, since I wrote this on YouTube, and with an audience in 195 countries. She's the founder of B School, an online business school for modern entrepreneurs. I enrolled in B School after starting my business, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's created with so much care, time, love, strategic and helpful information, and tons of expert wisdom. Marie is so passionate about helping you to find your purpose and to live it in the world. She talks about her journey becoming a multi-passionate entrepreneur and how she's built B School from a place of support, love, openness, and kindness. She is inspired by especially helping women in poverty to change their life and become economically independent. To learn more about Marie, you can go to marieforleo.com. And to learn more about B School and get some of her amazing tips, you can go to marieforleobschool.com. And I am just so honored to have you here today, Marie. This has been such an honor for me, and I know everyone that's going to tune in and listen to you. So welcome.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure, Julie. I adore you, and it's great to be here.
Thank you. Well, one of the first questions that I'd like to ask, I think it's very easy for people to see all that you've done and what you're creating in the world and forget sometimes that, there's a journey for each of us as human beings. And in expressing today as your You-est You, maybe just to say a little bit about what that journey has been like to get to that place today where you are.
Absolutely. Well, first, let's just put it in chronological context, right? This is the 19th year that I'll be in business. And in terms of B School, this is going to be our 10th year of doing B School. Okay. So in today's world, it's really easy to make the assumption that people just kind of jump in. And then there's these explosive, wonderful, quote unquote, overnight success stories. Maybe that's true somewhere. I don't believe it. And I certainly know it's not true for me. When I graduated school as an undergrad, I went straight to the New York Stock Exchange. I was on Wall Street, on the floor itself, running around. It was my first attempt at a career, trying to figure out who I was supposed to be and what I was meant to do in this world. And like many of us, I found myself doing the day-to-day job and trying my best and putting on that game face. But this still small voice kept speaking up inside of me saying, this isn't it. This isn't who you're supposed to be. This isn't what you're supposed to do. And that voice would not go away. And it just kept getting louder and louder until the point that my body started to revolt. And I started to get physically sick, like mild panic attacks and headaches and just all of these things that were seemingly coming out of nowhere. Now, in retrospect, I can see it was just me trying not to listen to my intuition that was speaking so loudly and clearly. And, I realized there when I eventually quit, which I did, that I had to just figure out who I was and who I was meant to be, but there was no roadmap, right? There was no set way in order to do this. And for me, it was a lot of trial and error. I was just kind of hunting around for clues about what I loved, what I was good at, how I could potentially contribute, but nothing really seemed to make sense. And so I went down many different paths and kind of ran into the wall because I kept hitting that same point where my inner voice was saying, nope, this isn't it. I was in ad sales in the magazine world, in publishing, trying really hard, working really hard, trying to make my way in the world. And it was, again, this voice was like, nope, this isn't it. This is not where you're supposed to be. And eventually, Julie, it got to the stage where I literally started to question my sanity. I was like, what is wrong with me? Do I have some type of brain dysfunction or behavioral dysfunction? Nothing made sense because I knew I was an intelligent person, I knew I was really hardworking. I've worked since I was 9 years old. I babysat. I have a work ethic from my parents. I'm the first person in my family to even go to college. So I value hard work. I value getting up and making something happen. So nothing was making sense. And I felt a lot of shame. I felt a lot of embarrassment. I felt a lot of guilt. It was just this whole concoction of emotions where nothing made sense. Until one day, when I was working actually in the fashion industry at a magazine that's no longer here, but it used to be called Mademoiselle.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in the editorial department and I was on the internet, and I stumbled across this new article at the time. And you got to get this. I got to put this in the time landscape. This is in the late 90s. I'm talking like 1998, 1999-ish.
Right.
This was all new. So it was about a new profession called coaching. No one had ever heard of it. It was just like, what the hell is this? And I remember, Julie, when I read this article, it was as though the clouds parted, the trumpets sounded, little angels were like, oh, like everything down to my cells was tingling in a way that I'd never experienced before. And I felt like this was right. Now, reading that article, the critical mind, my little voice in my head was like, you're 23 friggin' years old. You haven't even lived life yet. Who the hell is going to hire a 23-year-old life coach? You keep quitting your jobs. You're in massive debt. You have nothing to offer anyone. This is stupid. How cheesy is the term life coach? I mean, it was a litany of self-abuse, like nonstop self-abuse. So I had this voice on this side, and yet my body was like, yes. And thankfully, I had been down so many wrong paths that I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to listen to this thing. And I didn't quit my job at first. I signed up for a 3-year coaching program, was working at Mademoiselle during the day, doing my coach studies at night. Fast forward 6 months. The HR department called from Condé Nast. That was the umbrella corporation, right? So Condé Nast Publications. And they said, hey, Marie, we've got a promotion for you. We have a new position open at Vogue. More money, more prestige, like a career path that could be amazing, right? So that was my proverbial fork in the road. Do I say yes and have a normal, respectable, amazing job with a paycheck and health benefits and all that stuff? Or do I quit and do this weird ass life coaching thing that I have no idea really how to do? I'm just starting out. I've never built a business. I have no savings. I'm in debt. And of course I chose that path. So that's kind of just to give folks an idea. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and I'm like, I'm going to start a thing called B School, or I'm going to start a thing called Marie TV. It was like, no, we got to go way back to the beginning of me, like banging my head against the wall, trying to figure stuff out. And everything that I do now was born out of all of the struggles and the mistakes and like just the different places that I wasn't getting it right in the early days.
Wow. That is so, so incredible. And I love the whole, cheesy, like, what is this? Like, we didn't know, I mean, coaching's become popular now, but I know like 15 years ago, it was
20 years ago, people thought you were a freak. Like I thought I was a freak. Like it was fine. Cause I was, you know what I mean? That's where we were as a culture.
Right. Oh, I love hearing this. I think it's so helpful for people tuning in. It's so easy, I think, to watch what, people that, especially being so successful, and you've really done an incredible job really giving, I think, women and men, but especially me being a female, I'll say as a woman, the permission to be. I know you talk about being multi-passionate, which I love, and I want to talk about that because I've worked with a lot of women entrepreneurs now, and who come to me and they're like, I don't know what to do. I have 3 to 5 things that I love. I'm like, go watch this episode. Go watch Marie. Like, she talks about it. It's a thing. It's called multi-passion. But talk a little bit, if you don't mind, because I know that's a phenomenal term, and you've really, I love what you say about it. So you're multi-passionate. What do you do then?
Basically what happened for me was, out of doing all of this incredible coaching work, which is brilliant self-improvement, personal development, the kind of questions you need to ask yourself that I believe we all should have been taught as children and in school, right? And I started to realize out of my own coach training and working with clients, when people would ask me, well, what do you do for a living? I never had a good answer. And when I tried on, I'm a life coach, it felt very narrow and limiting. It felt like I was cutting off a limb, like something about it just didn't fit. And when I dug deeper, the truth of the matter was I had many passions. So life coaching was a vehicle through which I could express one of them. But I also loved marketing. I loved business. I loved writing. I loved spirituality. I loved fitness. I loved dance. I loved hip hop. And I was like, oh, here we go again. Like, Jesus, how do I know which one to choose? How do I know which one to focus on? I only got 24 hours a day, and I'm bartending and waiting tables most of those hours a day, right? So it was really, really, really confusing. And once again, I was like, is something wrong with me? Because every success book I read, every career book I read, the advice, which is understandable because it is wise in a certain respect, was about narrow down, focus in, pick one thing to do, become great at it, and that's how you achieve quote unquote success. Well, I didn't fit into that at all. So after I kept trying and trying to fit myself into this very narrow definition of one thing, I said, fuck it. I am going to give myself permission to try all of the things because everything else I've tried hasn't worked. So the moment, Julie, that I said, you know what? I'm not just a life coach. When someone asks me, who are you? What do you do for a living? I'm going to literally say, and this phrase came to me, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. And one of two responses would come back. People would be like, wow, what does that mean? And then I would say, well, during the week I work with coaching clients. I'm also a bartender. I started teaching dance. Like, I would get to kind of be flexible and intuitive and responsive in the moment with whoever that person is. Or if somebody looked like me, like I was a freak, like, I don't know what that is. That sounds dumb. I'd be like, okay, whatever. And I'd move on. So all of a sudden it became this enormous sense of freedom where I was stopping trying to fit myself into a conventional definition of anything, because I will never fit into anything. It's just not how I'm built. So one of the biggest lessons when you are multi-passionate, right? Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. I wasted so much time in my own mind in my late teens, in my early 20s, talking to myself, for instance, about dance and fitness. Now, I would go to the gym like nobody's business. I mean, when I was like a 15-year-old, I was in Gold's Gym, like pumping iron. I have pictures of myself from like my high school prom where I am tanned. Like, you have no idea. Like, I've been in a tanning bed for way too long, like the nails out to here, fucking buff arms. Like, I was insane, but I never considered that I could potentially do it as a career. And having graduated with a business degree, it just didn't make sense. It's like, wait, what's going on here? Then cut to dancing. I always dreamed of dancing, have zero dance training at all. Like, my only dance training was that, when I was like 7 or 8, I used to moonwalk across my mom's linoleum kitchen floor in socks to Thriller. Like, that's how much dance training I had. So the idea of like starting a simul career in my mid 20s, when in the dance world, at least, sadly, that's over the hill. When you're 25, you're kind of at the top end. Again, that's a broad generalization, but most dancers know a lot of them start off like they pop out the womb, they're in the tutu, they're getting training, they're on a path. Not me. So clarity comes from engagement, not thought. It wasn't until, Julie, that I finally, genius, woke up and said, you know what? You're not going to know, or you're not going to figure this out until you get your ass in a class and actually try it. The first time I stepped foot in a professional dance class in my life, Broadway Dance Center, New York City, I was terrified. I thought that I was going to get laughed out of the room. Everyone at that point, when I was 25-ish, was like a decade at least younger than me. So again, I felt over the hill. But here's what happened. The music came on. The teacher came in the room. I was like in the back, just like trying not to hit anyone. And he put us down on the floor. And the moment that the warm-up started, I began to sob. I didn't even think about it. It was like my body felt that it was so right, that there was something in here for me. It was like a whole other innate wisdom was coming through that I had never given myself permission to even explore. So this idea of clarity comes from engagement, not thought. When you're multi-passionate, you have got to give yourself a little space and grace to experiment, to engage, to explore things without an attachment to a specific outcome, and allow yourself to play and let the feedback come to you, both from you, right? From your body, from your heart. Do you come alive? Does it make you so joyful? Do you get all these creative downloads? Or do you explore it and you're like, you know what? This is actually a great hobby. This is something that I am passionate about, but I don't want to monetize it. I don't want to turn it into a business. Those are very, very different things, but we don't know that unless we give ourselves permission to play.
God, there's so many nuggets in there. I mean,
I know, I'm sorry. I was just Mama's like, I got a nice cup of coffee, so forgive me for just taking
Oh,
it
it's
around.
awesome. I'm like, there's so much wisdom in there. And I love what you said about the clarity. This is huge, comes from engagement, not thought. And I know for you, I mean, you ended up, one of the things you did, if I'm correct, you did the whole fitness, dancing, teaching.
Oh yeah, I had a simul career. So I had my personal coaching practice. I was working with one-on-one clients. I was building that up. I was understanding more about what it takes to run and operate a business, not just master the craft of coaching, which I was completely committed to.
Right.
But as you know, it's not enough to master your craft in today's world. You also have to understand how to start, manage, run, and grow a business. Your style business doesn't have to look like anyone else's, but you do need to understand some fundamentals. So I had to train myself in that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I developed this simul career in health and fitness. So I started teaching. I took dance classes a lot. My teachers basically said, "Hey, you're really good. Do you want to teach?" And I was like, "Are you talking about me?" I was like, "I don't know what the hell." They're like, "No, you actually know more than you know." They forced me to audition. I started subbing, then I started teaching.
Wow.
And then one thing kind of led to another. And it eventually ended up where like you could walk into probably a Target or a Walmart or, you know, some secondhand store and you will see a fitness video of my cheesy ass on a cover, like dance yourself thin with like Prevention Magazine or Crunch, like, in a green tight fucking leotard. And I eventually became a Nike Elite dance athlete. I was one of the first in the world. I was very proud of that.
Wow.
I got to teach dance to all different types of humans all over the world. And I did that for several years too. So it was really important for me in terms of looking back, right?
Yeah.
To have that clarity comes from engagement, not thought. I would have never had this beautiful part of my career, which by the way, Julie, a lot of my on-camera experience and a lot of what made me understand that I actually like playing with film, that I like teaching on camera, came from being a fitness instructor, because that's what I was doing. And I was choreographing and producing fitness videos, which still, I get people on Instagram like, "Oh my God, you helped me lose 30 pounds. Is that really still?" I was like, "That's me. Yay. Great job." Like, "That's awesome."
Oh my gosh, you're still helping people. This is hilarious. I just need a moment. The whole green spandex, whatever you said.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Jersey. I mean,
I am one of the cheesiest smilers. Like, I am the worst selfie taker. Every time I'm out and about, and someone's like, "Can I get a selfie with you?" I'm like, "You're going to have to take 15. I blink. I am horrible. I'm going to be like, it's the worst. I'm the worst.
Oh my God. I love it. And the Jersey girl background, I mean, it's perfect. It's the perfect. I love it. People can still find you there. There's
it's on YouTube. You can look up Marie Forleo, like dance fitness videos, and you will see me marching it out with you. You will see me telling you to shake your hips this way and shake your hips that way.
Oh my God.
It's all there.
All right. So I can't stop smiling and laughing. It's so funny. It's so funny and it's so great and it's so inspirational. People listening, this awesome badass lady went from professional dancing as a non-professional dancer, multi-passion entrepreneur, to now you've just, I'd love to talk about what you've built. I mean, I'm like a groupie. I did the coffee cure and I freaking loved it. So sorry, I forgot to mention the bio. I'll add that in and we'll have all the info. B School, changed my ass in my business. Marie TV is the thing. For those listening, I used to work in a corporate day job for 11 years. Great experience, wasn't for me anymore. I really wanted to serve in a bigger way. And I would literally shut my door every Tuesday. I'm not even joking. And I would watch it over lunch. I was like Shawshank Redemption. I would like shut the door and be like, I'm by myself. I can watch this. They probably thought I was doing something obscure. And I would watch you, take notes. And I did my own website for 2 years. And literally, I think I even applied to be your customer happiness specialist.
Amazing.
Got to the end. And then I was like, towards the end, and I was like, you know what? It's all good. It works out because I'm going to do my thing. But you totally, I'd love to talk about you and how, what you've created. And even like you were talking about the fundamentals of business. And I know just from doing B School, I mean, that program is freaking the bomb.com times 1,000. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, I just want to mention a few things for everyone listening. Like, if you're paying attention to Julie's story right now, listen to what she said about herself. that she was in this corporate career for 11 years, and it got to a point where there was closure. She was ready for her next adventure. She was ready to evolve in a new way. And then you just kept paying attention, taking your notes, taking it step by step, building into what is now this beautiful service. You're on fire right now. But I just wanted to point this out for everyone listening, because that's how we roll. And any mistaken notion that it's going to happen overnight, that all of these things just come into play, or that it's easy, it's like, that is bullshit. That's not how it really works. And we don't even want it to be that way, because then we'd miss all of the lessons. We'd have no stories to tell. It wouldn't be any fun. Like when I think back, Julie, I don't know if you feel this way, but even like when I think back to all of those things that we just talked about, even when I think back to starting B School, which we'll talk about, it's like, I have fond memories of those struggles. I have fond memories of those gritty nights and the tears and like wanting to pull my hair out and not knowing what the hell's going on, because it was all an adventure. And it continues to be an adventure. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time. I mean, I know a lot of things, but there are way more things in this world that I don't know than I do. And I get excited about that. I'm excited to learn what's next. I'm excited to figure out the next thing. I'm excited to challenge myself, to try new things and to stumble and fail and all that stuff. So coming back to B School, one of the things that happened, the reason why I created it, was because on my journey trying to learn about entrepreneurship, and at the time, again, this is the early 2000s, this very new world of having a digital business. Again, we get so in a time vortex. We think we've always had cell phones. No, we haven't. Right. We've always had these Zoom things. No, we haven't. It's like, you don't have to think back that far to remember that none of this shit existed before. So when I would go to these conferences, these business conferences, doing my best to learn, a couple things that I noticed. 99.9% of the people on the stages were men.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was like, well, that's not really reflective of society. Second, though, and this is what was more disturbing to me, was that a lot of them, not all, so I'm going to make a broad generalization here. It's not true across the board. I'm just saying, broadly speaking, so many of the folks that I was exposed to talked about customers like they were little more than numbers on the bottom of a balance sheet. Every single presentation was like, here's how to extract as much profit as possible. Highlighters and shit was blowing up. And I'm like, oh God, like it didn't feel like my idea of what business could be, what a small business could be, where there was heart and values and integrity and delivering way more than you ever asked for. My dad was a small business owner, so I grew up with a certain understanding of how you treat your customers, which is like gold. And I also, just looking at it, I was like, God, aesthetically, none of this is appealing to me. Where's the humor? Where's the heart? Where's the service or the give back piece? There were just so many things that were missing. Simultaneously, because I was teaching a lot of fitness and I was meeting a lot of women and I was bartending, quite frankly, and I would meet people, over drinks. Yeah. And many women would ask me, they would say, hey, when I tell them about my life, they would say, how are you doing all this? Like, I have this idea for something I want to do, but I just don't understand how a business works. And how do you get a website? And, I hate sales and marketing. God, if I could just be the idea person. And that's when, Julie, I would be like, no. I was like, no, I've got to listen to me, because the one thing I know is sales and marketing is the lifeblood of any business. And they're like, but I don't want to feel like a used car salesman. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be aggressive. I just want to help people. And I was like, whoa, hold on. I can teach you a whole other way. I can open the door to a whole other way. And then I realized there was nothing available that expressed the values and the ideas and what I was discovering about how online business could work. And so I decided to create it. So that's where B School came from. It was my desire to kind of help people avoid so many of the mistakes that I made and give them a new model of how to do business, where when you're practicing what I now call modern marketing, the best of your humanity comes out, not the worst. So your compassionate heart, your sense of understanding, your generosity, your empathy, your creativity, your personality, all of that must get poured into your business if you want it to succeed now and into the future. And if you want it to be fun. If you want to do shit the old way and like try and ram stuff down people's throat, it's like, good luck, you can try that. I don't think you're going to have a sustainable business, nor will you last.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny just coming from, I'll say it this way, the world where I've been to conferences and events, maybe some of the same, maybe not. I think it's getting better, but I still feel like I come out of them like, where the heck are the women? And where's the like thread of femininity or heart or something?
Yeah. Right. It's just unbalanced, right? It's unbalanced. It's not that the other stuff is bad. It's just, where's the integration, right?
Where's the integration? And one of the things, I mean, I got to say, you know, I did B-School, right? I mean, I left my job, my cushy day job with benefits, all that stuff. And I started my business. And I think that one of the first things I did, I actually took the copy cure first because I learned about that first. And then I was like, I need to, do way more than this. And that was phenomenal. And then I saw B-School and it just, what I loved, you can tell you're having fun, but I had fun. And it's a lot, there's a lot there. It's a lot of material and it's awesome. I mean, it's beautiful, aesthetic. It's just it goes at a very deep level. And I was like, oh my God, this is pretty.
Yes.
And
it helps you learn. Like one of the things, if you're interested on every different level with all of your different senses. So if the spirit is there, if the fun is there, if the examples are interesting, if you're entering an environment digitally and even energetically where there is love and intention and this desire to serve and there's no judgment and a place for exploration and throwing things around and having support, you're so much more likely to follow through and actually get it, implement it, and start seeing results.
Yeah. Well, and the people that have gone through it that I know, I mean, I always say you must do it. It's a must. Like it is a foundational element to starting a business. I didn't go to an actual business school before that. And I was like, I friggin' have no idea about copy and website and ideal client and all of that. It was just, who would you say B-School is for?
So whether you're just starting out or starting over, I think it's more about what you believe and who you want to be in the world. So for example, if we pull it back a little bit, if you're someone who's like, I want to go pitch VC investors, you know what I mean? Like I want to create a pitch deck and all this stuff. It might not be the right place for you. There's probably other places that can teach you more about that. If you're someone, again, who's like, I just need to understand every piece of data and I don't care about heart, I don't care who they are, like, what am I going to sell that's going to make me the most money the fastest? I would say, don't come to B-School, will annoy the shit out of you.
Right?
That's not. But if you're someone who, again, and I will say this as a little side, we've had folks, many of them, come through the program who have PhDs and MBAs, and they say that B-School was more actionable, operational, and sometimes more intense than those programs. And not intense in the sense that, someone's coming at you, just in terms of the depth of the work and how that relates to who they want to be in this world. That type of intensity, they just didn't get at those different programs. So in terms of who it's for, someone who has an idea and they're like, gosh, I know I have a gift that I want to share with the world. I know there's a product or service that I really believe in, but I get really confused and overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to take my marketing to the next level. So we have people that start off with no idea. And then we have people that are veterans that come in and just feel like, something is not really clicking in my business. I know that there's more that's possible, but I don't know what I'm missing. And I need to put myself into a structured environment so I can kind of revisit all of the core fundamentals that will make my business skyrocket. So I don't know if that did a good job explaining.
Yeah, it's awesome. I want to also say, I don't know if you know this, that you have different Facebook communities. I have found, and I'm sure you do, they are so robust. There's one, I actually just got a whole opportunity to teach it for a company in Boston from the Facebook community, and have another intuitive session with the other community. I'm part of a couple different ones. And I want to say,
love it.
Being connected and feeling like you're not alone. It's one of the things that I love about you, and what you authentically have created is really this community of heart-centered, big-hearted people, entrepreneurs that are out to change the world. And I know for you, that is so important. You're always promoting, nonprofits and organizations that you support. I love that about you. Before we wrap up, really quick last question. I'm curious, like when you think about the vision, Marie, your vision and how you want to continue to add to the world, what's maybe one aspect of that you could share?
Oh, this is a great question. So one of the things for me is continuing to actually pay attention to what's really in front of me without leaning too far into the future, because I think it's very unpredictable and unhelpful and can lead to overwhelm. So concretely, what that looks like for me. I am in the first round of edits for the first book I've done in like 10 years, right? So I am like deep in this thing. And so my focus right now is going like, okay, I have some great stuff that not only I've discovered on my own, but I've had the opportunity to talk to so many incredible people. Like, how can I cull the best ideas together, make this book as powerful as it can be, and do the best job for my readers, right? Whoever's going to be picking up this book. And also, how can I get this book in the hands of all the folks that need it? So part of my vision is actually, how can I have as much fun as possible in this next immediate chapter of my life, which a lot of it is about, of course, B-School. We love that. This is like a tentpole of our business. Right. But for me, it's also about the book. And I haven't been on the road in years. I have intentionally stayed home, so to speak, focusing on supporting, building the business, building big foundations, taking care of our B-Schoolers, doing all these things, building the show, that platform. But I've been itching to get back on the road. I used to do live events. That was one part of the business that was amazing, and I loved it. But at a certain point, you know, I had to make a choice for me. I didn't want to work 24/7. It's just not healthy and it's not sustainable. So I'm excited to actually get the live component of our business back in gear and get back out there and meet lots of people. So that's what's exciting for me right now.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love the focus on fun. I think for those listening, like what I got from you, I always get this, is that you're having, is it giving you a sense of fun and enjoyment and connection? And it just comes out in everything you do. It just does.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's like, we're not going to be on the planet that long. We have no idea, right? Yeah. Any of us, God forbid, but any of us, it's like, you can get hit by a bus tomorrow. Something could happen. It's like, we have to keep that reality in mind. Yeah. I have to remind myself, like, the moment I either start taking it all too seriously or getting too down on me or beating myself up or feeling like I'm not going fast enough or blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Am I breathing? Yes. Do I have food in the fridge? Thank goodness I do. Yeah. Is everything okay? Well, then, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this ride.
Drop the mic right there. That, I had nothing else to say. There you go. All right, friends, family, listeners, tribers, everybody, You-est You supporters, seriously, you are such a gift. You're a gift to me and so many. And I know anyone listening today is going to be just so much more in tune with their best self, and so inspired by you. You're living and breathing it. And I just honor you. I honor who you are in the world and what you're creating. And you're a friggin' badass. That's who you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, anything that you notice in me that you admire, it must be true in yourself too. And that's true for your listeners. That's how we all align.
You're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.